Hi everyone, this is Sude. I'm a registered migration agent at Aziz. Today I'm having my colleague Mr. Vincent Coron. He's a migration agent. Today we are covering all your questions regarding any migration matters, any visa matters. Okay, Vincent, would you like to start with the recent update about migration and visa matters?
Yes. Hi everyone, as introduced by Sude, my name is Vincent. I'm a registered migration agent working here at Aziz. Today we'll be covering some of the breaking news, whatever major changes occurred that occurred this week, and we'll be also addressing your questions as they are coming. So feel free to post your questions, and we'll obviously be more than happy to answer as and when your questions are coming. Let me just give me on.
I would encourage you to share or like and tag your friends, and then they can take an advantage of this session.
Yes, so let's begin. So the major changes, I'll begin with ACT state nomination, so for Canberra. As you might be aware, Canberra has been a popular destination and is still a popular destination for students at the moment. They are planning to introduce some changes beginning of July, so next month, where all students, like whenever you are eligible for a state nomination, will have to compete, let's say, in what we call a score matrix. So basically, you'll be competing with other applicants. In other words, it will be like highest points first, rather than on a first come first serve basis. Another major change as well, major news for this week is that New South Wales has closed their state nomination under the 190 skill nominated program, but it's just for a couple of weeks, as it is closed only until the 30th of June, so for just a couple of 2 or 3 more weeks. Would you like to discuss about the change regarding partner points today?
Yes, the other change would be about the partner points. Generally, to claim the 5 points for partners, the partner must have a skill assessment outcome plus having 6 each in an English exam. But the recent change would be that before there was the age limit was 50 for the partner, but now from 1st of July, it's gonna be 45-year-old. So it means that apart from having the skill assessment outcome and 6 each, to be able to claim the 5 points for partner, your partner must have been under the age of 45.
Yes. And so let's see if we've got enough questions so that we can begin. I can see here, yes, so we'll just tackle the question from Mamali. Who is asking which state is the best to applying for mechanical engineers under whether 190 or the 489 visa. So it all depends, normally, how many points you've got. In terms of, let's say if we talk about mechanical engineers, at the moment under the 189, as you might be aware, it's all about 75 points. And if, let's say for instance, you apply if you were interested to apply under the state nomination, some of the options which definitely there would be New South Wales, you might be eligible to apply under the 489. If I'm not mistaken, there are some sponsoring regional areas, but they will be asking for at least 2 years of experience, as well as 7 each in IELTS or equivalent, like PTO or any other form of English test accepted by the department. If we, so what other questions are? Yeah. So regarding the question from Dior, where it's been mentioned if we have got any update related to Canberra 190 visa. Yes, we have already covered this, as there might be some changes from the 1st of July regarding the points matrix. And we'll just move to the next question from Lovepreet. Would you like to tackle this today?
So Lovepreet is asking, is there any chance of reducing points for non-pro rata from 1st of July under 189 visas? So as of now, as we know, the required point to get the invitation is 75 points. But we are estimating that after July, when the number of invitation goes higher, so it might go back to normal. Let's say if there is like a 2,000 invitation per month, so definitely eventually the points will go down to 70 points.
Yes, very good. Yes. So let's move on to the next question from Ramiz. Yes, so he's mentioning that his brother is an Australian citizen living in Perth. Can he sponsor as you have 65 points under accounting? So yes, Ramiz, irrespective of the state, you are eligible to apply for the 489 relative. Okay, as long as you have a minimum of 50 points. It is worth mentioning that at the moment under the 489 relative, you need at least 80 points, which is 65 points, 70 points for the applicant independently, coupled with 10 points from the sponsor. So at this stage, if you have only 65 points, definitely you are eligible to lodge an EY to express your interest, but you won't be invited at this stage. Because the waiting period, let's say if you've got 80 points, is around 1 month in terms of queue. So if you have 70 points or above, you might be invited. You definitely have a chance to be invited. So let's see if let's move on to another question. So there is a question from. Yes, there's a question from. Sorry, I'll just briefly look into that. So Lovebrit. Yes. Hina is asking, can you please explain about early childhood? I have done a diploma in it. I have employer, she can sponsor me too, but I don't know how to do and what. So thanks for the inquiry, Hina. So if you've done early childhood, I guess you have got at least a diploma, which is the minimum qualification if you're going to nominate the occupation of childcare center manager. For instance, in this case, depending on how many years of experience you have, you might be eligible to apply under the 482 visa, but you might know that as from March this year, the requirements for the new visa, which for instance is the 482, is that you need to have at least 2 years of full-time experience post-qualification. So if this is something that you already hold, you might be eligible to apply under the sponsor. Alternatively, if you go for the General Skill Migration Program, you can apply under the 189 or the 190 or even 489, as long as you meet the points and you have a full skill assessment. So it's worth mentioning that in this case, for the occupation of childcare center manager, you will need at least 1 year of full-time experience, which you can do under the Job Ready program, where you will be working roughly, where you have to complete at least 1,725 hours, and you will be getting a skill assessment. So upon completion of the Job Ready program, and provided you meet the points, you can apply for the General Skill Migration. Otherwise, like I said, if this is not a path that you are considering, if you were to be sponsored by your employer, you need to clock in at least 2 years of full-time experience, and then you can apply. Worth mentioning here that if you don't have full-time experience, part-time experience can be considered as well. For example, 2 years of part-time experience can be deemed to be equivalent to 1 year of full-time experience. So there's a question here from Bota about enrolled nurse. Yes, RSMS enrolled nurse. So Bota, your RCB has been approved today. How long will it take to get the visa? Filed lodged in February 2018. So yes, but regarding the RSMS under the 187, processing times, it's quite long at the moment. It's most likely around 1 year. So at this stage, depending if you have provided a, let's say, decision-ready application, it wouldn't be too long. Most likely a couple of more months. Around the end of the year, beginning of 2019, you should be getting an answer for that.
Thank you. Sandhya is asking, is social work in PR list and what is the required point? Yes, Sandhya, social worker is an occupation in medium and long-term list. And the current point for social work is 75 points. And if you have 75 points, you will get the invitation very quickly. So in the next 1 or 2 rounds. And so you have the options for 190 as well. It depends on your points.
So I hope that answers your question. Rohit has asked, what about nursing graduates from Australia for PR? So Rohit, this is similar to what Sudhir just mentioned. At the moment, all the occupations, unfortunately, are 75 points, around 75 to 80 points. If you are relying on the 189 visa, it will take some time for you to get an invitation. Hopefully, if we get a decent amount of invitations from next financial year, which is in July, you might be invited, obviously depending on the points you have. Alternatively, if Victoria opens the 190 program again, you can apply for this if you are a recent graduate from Victoria. So let's move on to... Yes, Mamaliso had another question as well. When do you think family invited pathway for Victoria will be open again? So I guess here, maybe you're getting confused, Mamali. For family, it is irrespective of the state. The 489 together with the 189, the 489 relative, is quite similar to the 189 skill independent in the sense that you don't need to be sponsored by a state. There is the 489 regional where you need to be sponsored by a state, but when it comes to the 489 relative, it's all about the points. For instance, at the moment, you need 80 points to be invited. Why? Because they're issuing very few invitations per round, only 5. So this is why you need at least 70 points if you want to have to stand a chance to be invited. Yes. So I can see a comment from Ashley Morgan. You have a Mauritian accent. Yes, I'm from Mauritius, Ashley. Yeah. So let's just tackle the question from Sima. If somebody completes 92 weeks of study in automotive motor mechanic, can he apply for TR? So from what I understand, Sima, maybe you would like to cover this today?
Yeah, generally to meet the Australian study requirement, which is required to apply for 485 visa, the course must be registered for 2 years, for 92 weeks, and you have to complete the course in minimum 16 months. If this is the course that you have completed, yes, you are eligible to apply for 485 visa TR.
In other words, just to join on what Sudhir has mentioned, in terms of the 92 weeks, if your certificate free, let's say if your qualifications combined together is at least 92 weeks duration, you would meet the Australian study requirements. In other words, we've got cases where the certificate 3 and 4 combined together are just for 92 weeks, but in most of the cases, to meet the Australian study requirements, like the 92 weeks, you will need to study a certificate 3, a certificate 4 together with a diploma.
Diploma, yeah.
All right. We've got a question from P2, where we are asked, what are the chances of electrical engineering at 70 points in the case of 189 visa? So P2, I'll answer that. And if you've got 70 points by yourself under the 189, yes, you've got pretty good chances. I'm not sure when you got the 70 points. If it is already some months ago, you might be invited, let's say hopefully in the next financial year. Alternatively, if you meet the requirements, and I would recommend that you apply under the 489. There is a sponsoring region in New South Wales, so you can apply under the 489 in New South Wales, where you will be invited to apply for the visa within a short period of time, roughly around 2 to 3 months. So if, let's say, for instance, you're not invited or by next financial year, which is in July, considering the 489 would be a very good option that you need to think about. Yes, so Basu, so what do we say here? Yes, we've got a question from Basu. Is PT replacing soon? What about, is PT replacing soon? So when it comes to PT, Basu, at the moment of this session, the form of English tests that are accepted by the department are the PT, IELTS, TOEFL, OET, as well as CAE. So there is nothing announced or nothing has been published as whether there will be some changes or some forms of English tests will be removed or amended from the list. So at this stage, we cannot comment on that. But we haven't heard of anything as far as we are concerned. Yes, let's take another question. Let's say for Taimé, is there any regional 489 for telecommunications without experience? So would you like to cover this one today? Let's say for 489.
Yeah, basically for 489, when it comes to New South Wales regions, most of them they request at least minimum 2 years of work experience. So for telecommunication engineer, it's the same. You need 2-year work experience.
Okay, let's move on a question. I don't know. So we've got a question from Sandeep. I want to know how I get my PR under 457 visa now. Do I have to continue my work with the same employer until I apply for my citizenship, or can I work anywhere? So Sandeep, from what I understand is you were holding previously the 457 visa and now you got your PR. So the fact that you've been granted your PR, it means that the 457 has ceased. So it is up to you if you wish to continue working with your sponsor, which is obviously where you got your 457 from, or not. That is not a condition on your visa. So it is up to you. You can remain with the same employer, or you can seek employment elsewhere. It doesn't really matter. Let's see if we've got a question here. Social work, anything else? Nothing. So until I find another question today, would you like to talk a bit about when will be the next invitation round for this financial year?
So as we have an invitation round every 2 weeks, so we are expecting to have an invitation round in 2 weeks. It's gonna be on 20th of June. So and that would be the last round of this year till the next financial year after July. So we are going to have another invitation round, and most probably all the invitation would be issued with minimum 75 points. It doesn't matter if it's a pro rata occupation or non-pro rata, no invitation will be issued below 75 points.
So in other words, if you have 75 points today, and if you have not yet lodged your EOI, I would highly recommend that you do so as soon as possible. Who knows, you might be invited in the last round of this financial year. So let's move on to the next question from Piyush. How many payslips needed for 1 year of skilled work experience, and what other documents are needed for the skilled work experience? So Piyush, as you might be aware, to claim the points for 1 year of experience, it means that you're eligible to claim the 5 points, as long as you work at least 52 weeks, minimum of 20 hours per week. So what evidence you can provide when it comes to claim the experience? So first of all, I would recommend that you can do an employment assessment, so have employment assessed, and when it comes to the visa application, provide all evidence that can support your claims, such as payslips. So when it comes to the payslips, you're more than welcome to provide all the payslips covering that period, or alternatively, you can provide some in the first 3 months, the last 3 months, and some scattered in the middle, so that it shows that the employment was continuous. In terms of other documents, you can also provide the PAYG and the notice of assessment, which is like tax documents from the taxation office. And also, you can provide your bank statement to show that your salary was deposited regularly into your account. We've got a interesting question here today from Karen. 80 points accountant updated 8th of June. What are the chances?
So as we all know, the accounting, the points, so the required point for accounting has been 80 points. So if you have 80 points, you will get the invitation, but it might take up to 5 to 6 months for you to receive the invitation.
Yeah, because just to support what Sudhe is saying, for accountants at the moment, if you've got 80 points, it's worth mentioning that the queue is roughly around 5 to 5.5 months. So this is not the waiting period. This is just an indication of how many people with 80 points are already ahead of you. Right, so as we get, let's say, more invitations from July, we'll be in a better position to guess and to make an estimation when you can get an invitation.
Yeah, if you have 80 points by yourself, I would suggest to apply for 190 from New South Wales when it's open in July.
Yes. So we've got another question from Amit. How many points I need for 190 as I got 4 years as a chef and I'm on 457 visa? So Amit, 457 visa, I guess you are in Victoria. So if this is the case, what I would suggest is there is a PR pathway open if you are a 457 visa holder in Victoria. If you meet the requirements, if you have you've been employed in Victoria and you have got the points, you can apply for the state nomination. When it is open, you will have a benefit of having the application prioritized, which means processing within 2 to 3 weeks. And as long as you've got at least 55 points, you will be invited to apply for the visa. But like I said, at the moment it is closed, so we'll have to wait for this. There's a question here from Fatima, where she's asking, what about accountants with 75 points, EY lodging, November 2017? So when it comes to this, Fatima, with 75 points, at this stage, again, to support what Sudhir mentioned earlier, with 75 points, we're not really in a position to comment or to give you an estimate when you will be invited. Most likely, it's getting close to a year, roughly in a couple of months. Let's say you're most around halfway, like 6 months old in terms of EOI. So at this stage, I would suggest that you wait, or alternatively, see if there are any other options how you can get more points. I guess in those 75 points, I'm pretty sure you have got 8 each, and you might have done professional year. So you might consider doing the NATI CCL to boost up your points, so that you can secure an invitation earlier.
All right. There's a question from Shah Zaib Ali. What about the state sponsorship for Victoria as an engineering technologies on 60 points? Yeah, if you are a recent graduate from Victoria, you would be eligible to apply for engineering technologies in Victoria under 190 visa subclass. But as the applications for Victoria is closed, so you won't be able to apply for it. But let's say once it's open, if you meet the other requirements, so as you with 60 points is enough to get the invitation from Victoria. So the minimum points for Victoria nomination is 55 points, and as you have 60 points by your own, it means you have 65 points. So there is a high chance for you to get the invitation from Victoria.
So I'll just let's just jump on. There's one question where from Manish, where he has mentioned any updates for Tasmania. So at this stage, Manish, there are no updates for Tasmania. As you might be aware, with recent changes or with the announcement made by Canberra earlier this week, I guess that Tasmania would become the preferred destination now for students, considering that they will be sponsoring you if you have studied over there for 1 or 2 years, and obviously studied and live there. So at this stage, there are no updates for Tasmania. The last major change from Tasmania was back last year, where they changed the study requirements under the 190 from 1 to 2 years. But at this stage, there is nothing such that has been announced. So most likely, everything it will remain statu quo for the moment. There's a question here just to cover for Vakas as well. He's asking about Victorian State nomination. So at this stage, Vakas, it depends on the occupation, and again it depends on when Victoria will be opening the doors again. From what I understood, they have closed for a couple of months. We don't know yet exactly when they will be open. If we look back history, back in 2016, where, if I'm not mistaken, they closed around August. It was supposed to close just for a couple of months, but it revealed to actually they closed for around close to 8 or 9 months. So if this is the case, we might not open the state nomination before some time. But again, this is just based on what has happened in the past. Let's just wait and we'll be in a better position to comment. But you don't have to worry. As long as you follow us on our Facebook page, you will be informed about all those updates, because it will be posted almost immediately as and when we get those updates from the relevant authorities or the department or even the government. There's a question here from Ashraful Aswide. What will be the minimum salary for an IT professional to claim 5 points for work experience? Maybe if you can give some information about this.
Yeah, to claim the work experience points, so as long as what you get paid, the salary is on the market rate salary, you meet the requirements, and also the work must be at least 20 hours per week, and as long as you meet the market rate salary, you can claim 5 points.
There's an interesting question here from Pushpa. I'm doing a diploma of nursing. How to get the PR with a diploma of nursing, as you are not interested to do the bachelor of nursing? So it's worth mentioning here, Pushpa. Let's say if you study up to the diploma of nursing, the occupation that will be nominating is enrolled nurse. Whereas if you complete the bachelor, you will be going for registered nurse. The major difference between those two is that enrolled nurse is on the STA, the short-term list, the STSOL, which means that your visa options will be only the 190 skill nominated and the 49 regional. It's also worth mentioning that in the event, let's say your diploma is 2 years, you will not be eligible to apply for the 485 visa. Why? Because the occupation is not on the MLTSSL, the medium and long-term list. So if you are able to meet the points, like to meet the point test and meet the state requirements, you can definitely try to apply under New South Wales when it opens again, or on any other sponsoring state, depending on the situation. Because I'm not sure you didn't mention anything here. I guess you're studying in Victoria, but if you for instance, let's say if you have studied in Tasmania, if you've done the diploma of enrolled nurse over there, you can apply for the 49 visa easily. Yes, so we've got a question from Siddharth. I've done a master in professional engineering in Melbourne, in civil engineering. What is the best for me to get the PR? So it all depends about how many points you have. What I would recommend at this stage, Siddharth, is because you might have seen as the points have kept on increasing since the beginning of last financial year. It is worth mentioning that in order to secure an invitation earlier, I would suggest that you put all the chances on your side and try to get 8-inch, which is theoretically a must now, so that you can secure your 20 points. Alternatively, to complement this, I would suggest that you go for NATI as well and the professional year, because being from, let's say when you are from IT, accounting or engineering background, you have the advantage that you can do a professional year, which will give you another 5 points. Let's see what about, there's a question here from Pushpa again, diploma in nursing. Yeah, so I guess we have already covered this one. There is Albertina who is asking, can you talk about the new changes in 190? So we already covered this. Maybe you can add a few more words about this today, because I can see that this question is coming over again and again. If you can just elaborate a bit more about the 190 Canberra.
190 in the Canberra. So there might be some changes from July. So Canberra might have their own matrix. It means that they might have their own points matrix, and then so you might get the invitation if you meet the requirements for 1 year study in Canberra. But as they have announced, it's not guaranteed that you will get the invitation. But they will have their own matrix point. Yeah.
So there is one question from Anjana where she's asking, how long does the spouse visa take to process? So important thing here, Anjana, I've seen in the past that many people they mix up in terms of visa subclasses. So in the event, I'm taking for granted that you are talking here about the partner visa that has been lodged, let's say, onshore in Australia. I guess we're talking about the subclass 820. If it is the subclass 820, the processing time for the 820 is between 20 to 25 months. So let's say, for example, it takes around 2 years to open an application, and that's what that is the processing time I'm witnessing at the moment for my applications. So it's taking around 2 years. Now, in the event, let's say, the spouse visa, you were referring to the 485 dependent or the student dependent. This one definitely is much lesser. The 485 dependent, we've got cases approved in as short as 1 or 2 months, and for a student visa, it is more or less around anywhere between 3 to 6 months as well. So it all depends on the documentation that you are provided at the time of application, because the more documents you provide, like I said, if it is a decision ready, you'll be most likely to get an outcome sooner. So there is a question here from Gurpreet. I'll cover this in a few minutes, Gurpreet, regarding the job ready program in automotive. There's a point mentioned by Anke. Hello team, I have submitted the EY to claim 5 points for partner skill, but on EY breakdown it doesn't show 5 points under 189, but it shows 5 points under the 190. So I'm not sure, Ankit, here, have you done individual EOIs for the 189 or the 190, or did you select both subclasses in one EOI? If this is the case, definitely in the breakdown, which will appear as one document only, you should see that there will be separate columns for the points, one for the 189 and 190. If it's not the case, I would recommend that you can contact us and we can have a look at how you have prepared your EOI, and we can give you some advice on this. So let's come to the point that Gurpreet has mentioned, which was also raised last week. Can we know a bit more about the Job Ready program in automotive? So in terms of Job Ready program, it's good to know that this is a pathway that is very popular at the moment. Even people who are from non-automotive background, let's say if you've done a master's or a bachelor in a non-automotive background, they are considering to do an automotive course while they are on their 485 visa. So in other words, I'll just give you like a brief picture overview how it works. First of all, to do the Job Ready program as a motor mechanic, you will need to have a relevant qualification. And for instance, here it is a certificate free. Certificate free, most of the time it's a one-year course. So you do the certificate free. Under the Job Ready program, you will have 4 steps, which are the provisional skill assessment, the Job Ready employment, the Job Ready work assessment, and the Job Ready final assessment. I mean, don't worry too much about all these terminologies for now. In the 4 steps, basically, you will be required to work at least 1 year full time. In the step 1, which is a provisional skill assessment, you need to complete 360 hours of paid experience. This also appears to be a requirement for the 485 visa, the graduate work stream, when you apply for it. And once you get your visa, let's say whether it is for 18 months or 24, you can do the steps 2, 3, and 4 on that visa. So basically, in the steps 2, 3, and 4, you are expected to complete 1 year full-time experience and work for 1,725 hours paid experience. And obviously, the end product of it is that you will get your skill assessment, and depending on your points, you might be eligible to apply under the general skill migration. Why now it's becoming more and very popular is because until the beginning of this week, let's say until New South Wales closed their door for the 190 nomination, if you had as low as 55 points, you could have been nominated very easily by New South Wales under the trade occupation. Unfortunately, it's not the case for other occupations, for instance, accounting, IT, and engineering. But under the trade occupation, yes, you have got very good options.
Okay, Preeti Kaur is asking, I have 65 points in accounting. If I get 10 points from family, so 75 together, so can I get invitation in 6 months in accounting under 489 family sponsorship in Perth? So when it comes to 489 family, so you should know that the number of invitation issued for these family visas it's very limited. So in the last month, it has been only 5 invitation issued in the month of May. So at the moment, the required point, if you want to get the invitation for 489 visa, you at least need to have 75 points by your own, and then you get 10 points from your family, and then 85 points. There are chances for you to get the invitation. But if you are eligible for 489 with 65 points, I would encourage you to lodge your EOI, but just have it as your plan B. And to be honest, with 65 points, there are very less likely for you to get the invitation in 6 months.
Yes. So there is another question from India, who has asked, I've done my EOI on the 7th of April. I've got 80 points independently as an accountant or an external auditor. So I understand you've got both skill assessment. Can I expect my invitation around July last round or August first round? Considering at the moment that if you've got 80 points in accounting or external auditor, they have invited up to January for accountant and the 12th of February, if I'm not mistaken, for auditors. You might be eligible. You might be invited. Any time in the next financial year. Whether it will be in July or August, at this stage we're not able to give you a good estimate. Why? Simply because we don't know exactly how many invitations will be issued. If it remains the same, let's say for instance around 300 invitations per round, roughly 600 invitations per calendar month, then obviously it will take longer, and you might not be invited in July or August. It might be later, and we'll be in a position to give you a good idea as and when we see some more invitations coming in the future rounds. There was one interesting question as well for an occupation which is not that common. So this is from Gaurav. Sorry. So Gaurav is asking, can you please relate future for hotel management graduate regarding 489? So when it comes to hotel management, Gaurav, I'm taking for granted that you have a bachelor in hotel management. In this case, I understand that the occupation to be nominating will be hotel or motel manager. It is worth mentioning that this occupation is on the STSOL and assessed by VETASES, so you will need at least 1 year of experience post-qualification, at least 20 hours per week for 1 year, 52 weeks will be fine. But the fact that it is on the STSOL means that you will heavily rely on a sponsoring state. For instance, at the moment we don't have much options, so as and when if other states are sponsoring, you will be able to apply. But when it comes to, I'm not sure if I have addressed your question, but if your question was about the state sponsoring or whether it will be on the list in the next financial year, yes, most likely yes. So there's a question here from Bindesh. Hi, could you please tell how long it takes to get result after submitting your medical for RSMS? So it all depends here, Bindesh. Have you submitted the medicals when you were asked to do so, or is it at the time of application, like you've done your application and then you have done the medicals pretty much after? If you have been asked by the case officer, there is no guarantee that, like the immigration, there is no guarantee that they will open your case again within those 28-day period. It might take more time. We've witnessed cases where it's taking longer, up to 5-6 months. So what I would suggest is, once you've done the medicals, you can send a courtesy email, like just a follow-up email, and request to have some update if there is anything else that is pending to finalize your application. And then yeah, we've got another question here from Preet Simran. What are the chances of automotive to get invitation of 189 with 65 points? Maybe you can address that, Sudhe?
Yeah. The required points currently for non-pro rata occupations like automotive, it's 75 points. So with 65 points you might get the invitation, but it takes time. So it might take like 8 months for you to get the invitation roughly.
So there is a question here from Bhavini Misri. Any chances of invitation for software engineer to go on 457 pathway with 60 points? So here the good thing, Bhavini, as I mentioned earlier, once Victoria will open the state nomination again, and if you have met the state requirements, okay, for the 457 pathway, yes, definitely, as long as you've got at least 55 points under the 190, you will be eligible to apply for this. And the good thing is here, like I mentioned earlier, is that Victoria, definitely the state of Victoria, we do favor these candidates, and you can be invited to apply for nomination quite quickly. And most of the time we've got cases that have been approved within 1 or 2 days as well, but we generally advertise that it's around 2 weeks of processing time. So what other question you've seen here today?
Right.
So we've got another question here. What is the scope for 189 on 70 points in IT networking? So Rubel, so that's how mate. Yes, how mate. So when it comes with 70 points, I think we already spoke. I gave you an idea about this earlier ago. With 70 points at the moment, there is no invitation, unfortunately. We just need to wait at this stage, hopefully that the points will get down in July and you will be invited. How will the points get down? If the department starts inviting more candidates per invitation round, definitely the minimum points will drop down. Because it's worth mentioning here, like as an observation, in every round, every single round from the beginning, there have always been people applying with high points, such as 85, 80, 75. It's just that this figure was so minute that we were not aware of this. But now that we are getting few invitations per round, that is why those people are taking more, they are getting the biggest share of the cake. That's why applicants with lower points are not getting invited, unfortunately. Yes, so we've got another question from Saad. I've got my civil engineering master in Australia and two kids certificate in Australia. I would like to be back to Australia and study PhD and stay here. So can I get the way back to Australia? So it depends. From my understanding, I guess you're offshore at the moment. So if this is the case, yeah, you can definitely apply and do a PhD here. If you do a PhD, I would suggest that you opt for Victoria as your preferred state. Why? Because we've got another pathway as well under the state nomination, the 190 Victoria, where they sponsor recent graduates who have completed a PhD. So if you complete your PhD from a Victorian university, not Victoria University, but a university in Victoria, then you will, provided the state nomination is open, you will be eligible for that. And again, as low as 55 points would suffice, but I'm pretty sure you will have more points, because completing a PhD already will give you 20 points. So I'm pretty sure, coupled with your age and the level of English, you will be having more points. Yes, so let's just talk. I'll try to see another question. And in the meantime, today, would you like to just remind our the audience about the citizenship changes? If there is anything you would like to recommend or advise them.
So for the citizenship changes, also they have introduced the bill again. So there might be some changes from July. So the changes would be the duration that you need to be here in Australia on permanent residency. As of now, if you are here 4 years and the last year you are permanent resident, you can apply for citizenship. But from July, there might be some changes that they require you to be here 4 years in Australia on permanent residence, and then they might add an additional requirement for English. They might require the applicant to have 6 overall in English. So, and the other changes is regarding the application fees for those applicants for the citizenship. So at the moment, the concession application is $40. So from July, it's gonna be like a normal processing fees. So it's gonna be $285 from July.
So we'll just address the last question. I'll just to sum up regarding again the inquiry from Gaurav. So just again, that was the case related to hotel or motel manager. Gaurav is asking, so 20 hours per week for a year in general work in that industry would be sufficient to apply. So it's worth mentioning here. Yes, if you have 20 hours of work experience for 52 weeks, that would suffice. But I can also note here that you have mentioned you have graduated from hotel management, but you are working as an F&B attendant, food and beverage. Unfortunately, that will not be possible to apply. Why? Simply because when you will be applying for the skill assessment, relevant authority, which is VETASERS, for instance, require that you have 1 year of experience in a closely related field. I do understand that yes, food and beverage attendant is part of the hospitality industry, but because you won't be doing the duties of a hotel or motel manager, like managerial task, that will not qualify you for the skill assessment. So to qualify for this, I would recommend that you try to get the experience in your field, make the most of your 45 visa in this case, because I'm pretty sure you will get at least a 2-year visa after completing your qualifications. So you can stay here, try to gather as much experience, and obviously just climb the ladder. And ultimately, if you are able to complete 1 year of experience at this role before your visa expires, or any time in the future, you are most welcome to apply for the skill assessment. And if you meet the state requirement, you can apply for the visa. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks a lot for following us and asking your question. I apologize if we haven't been able to address all the questions. We'll definitely endeavor to do so in the future. It's just that we have tried to address most of the common concerns, which at the moment the talk of the town is when I will get my invitation with the points. So keep on following us on Facebook. We expect good changes, let's say positive changes from the beginning of next financial year, which is in July, and just keep on following us on Facebook. And if you have any question, feel free to contact us at the office or in any of our branches within Australia or outside Australia. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.